When I arrived at what was supposed to be a small family dinner, I was greeted by 80 guests and a banner proclaiming, "Welcome, baby Emily." My mother, beaming with a laugh that echoed through the room, announced loud enough for everyone near the shrimp platter to hear, "We spent your bonus on family joy." I stood frozen in the doorway, stunned. I hadn't told them about the bonus, not the exact amount at least. I'd mentioned a raise, a good quarter, but never the $9,800 check. "Noted," I said flatly, my voice barely cutting through the festive chaos. No one noticed my tone. They were too busy twirling in pastel outfits, celebrating my sister Emily, who glowed in white lace like royalty. The same Emily who forgot to pay me back for her rent last year. The same Emily who called me an emotionless calculator at Christmas for not crying during her mandatory Hallmark movie. That night, after the last guest grabbed their gift bag and the balloon arch sagged into a wilted mess, I didn't yell or cry. I logged into the family accounts, froze every joint one, reversed 14 transactions, and withdrew the entire $9,800 bonus from the shared savings I'd foolishly agreed to set up last year. My name was on it too, so it wasn't theft, just a correction. I wasn't out for revenge. I only wanted to protect what little peace I had left, to anchor myself in clarity and truth. By morning, something about the property felt different, and not just because of the garbage bags piled high by the door like broken promises. A post-it note in my mom's cursive handwriting clung to my old bedroom door. "Please don't overreact. We did it for Emily. She's family. She needs this." I left the note untouched, grabbed my laptop, and sat on the edge of the guest bed. I opened a folder I'd sworn never to touch, labeled Receipts. If they wanted to wage a war over family joy, they'd learn exactly what that cost. For 5 days after that so-called small family dinner, I went silent. No texts, no calls, just me and a Google Sheets file tracking every dollar I'd given them since 2021. Rent payments, $6,300, medical bills, $2,480, Emily's emergency car repair, $1,900, groceries, $125 a month, recurring. Streaming services on my card, mom's wine subscription, still active. I was a walking ATM with a Wi-Fi password. On the 6th day, Emily called. I didn't pick up. Then mom left a voicemail. "Honey, we know you're upset, but you're overreacting. It was just a dinner. Emily's having a baby. She needs support. We thought you'd be happy." I replayed it 5 times. Not once did she say thank you. Not once did she apologize. I decided to pay them a visit. Not out of longing, but because I had questions. When I pulled into their driveway, Emily's shiny new SUV sat out front, the one she'd claimed she couldn't afford a down payment for 2 months ago. I recognized the dealership sticker. I'd driven her there, co-signed the loan, believing her story about needing it for job interviews. She wasn't interviewing. She was hosting influencer brunches with pastel macarons and overpriced centerpieces. I saw the Instagram reels, the hashtags. I walked in without knocking. "Hey," Emily chirped from the dining table, surrounded by baby bloom boxes. "Look who decided to grace us with his presence." My father glanced up from the kitchen island. "Don't be dramatic," he said. "Your sister's pregnant, right? So that makes it okay that you drained my $9,800 bonus for a fake baby shower with 80 guests?" I asked, my voice steady but sharp. Dad scoffed, leaning back at the kitchen island. "It's called giving back to the family. Try it sometime." I stared at him, unblinking. "I gave you $9,800. You want a parade for that?" He snapped, his face hardening. Mom jumped in, her tone softer but no less infuriating. "We thought it'd bring everyone together. Joy brings blessings." "Joy brings overdraft fees," I shot back. Then Emily stood, her smile dripping with the calculated charm of a Netflix villain. "You always make it about you," she said. "Just admit it, you hate seeing others happy." That was the line that broke me, the moment I gave up hoping they'd ever change. I walked out, leaving their words hanging in the air like stale cigarette smoke. That night, I dug into a hard drive I'd been avoiding for months, a backup from before I moved out. I wasn't sure what I'd find, but Emily had used it once and never bothered to wipe it. What I uncovered was a goldmine of betrayal, screenshots of our private texts edited to paint me as violent, voicemails spliced together to fabricate threats, a folder labeled insurance claims with fake receipts listing me as a witness, another called bonuses with a whiteboard photo and a note. If we say he gifted it, it's legally clean. I printed it all and created a new folder, Family Ledger. The next morning, a text from Dad lit up my phone. Emily said, "You're digging through old files. Let it go. Don't do something you'll regret." I replied, "Too late. You should have thought of that before the shrimp tower." Then it got worse. I checked my credit report and found 3 new inquiries from banks in their city. Mom had tried to open a credit card in my name using my social security number. The scanned application bore her handwriting, my signature forged so poorly it was almost laughable. I confronted them in the family group chat, attaching screenshots, timestamps, and file paths with a single message. "You have 48 hours to explain." I hit send. My aunt left the group. Emily fired back, "This is harassment." Dad sent a thumbs up emoji. Mom wrote, "You're tearing this family apart." 47 hours later, my bank called about a blocked $4,500 wire attempt to something called the Harris Family Trust, a name I'd never heard. The bank asked if I knew an E. Harris. "Yes," I said, "my sister." I confirmed I hadn't authorized the transfer and filed a fraud report. 10 minutes later, Emily emailed me, subject line, "This is not what Mom wanted. No body, no signature." I didn't respond. By Friday, their world was unraveling. Their friends started calling. My uncle, a cousin I hadn't spoken to since 2014, even a random LinkedIn message with a passive-aggressive hope ball as well. Heard some weird things. Weird things, like how they exploited their own son to fund a fake baby gala for their manipulative daughter, or how they forged documents in my name. Yeah, I'd call that weird too. But I wasn't finished. That weekend, I met with a family lawyer, bringing my meticulously labeled folder, financial records, digital evidence, emotional toll. I showed her the backup drive, the forgeries, the texts. She said one word, leverage. Then she asked, "What do you want?" I smiled. An ending, with fireworks. On Friday morning, Dad texted, no greeting, no emojis. "Let's talk. Man to man. Workshop, 7 p.m. The workshop wasn't a metaphor. It was the actual shed behind their house, with its rusted toolbox, cracked light bulb, and Dad's dusty "work hard" or "shut up" sign still hanging above the window like it meant something. I didn't reply. I just showed up. He was already there, sitting on a folding chair, a beer in one hand, and a cigarette tucked behind his ear, waiting like he thought this was his moment to take control. Below is the revised continuation of your story, rewritten as a cohesive narrative in English, maintaining the original content and meaning with approximately 10 by 15% of the wording adjusted for clarity and flow. I've ensured consistency with the character names from your previous submissions. Emily as the sister, Mom as the mother, Dad as the father, and Jake as Emily's ex, and seamlessly connected it to the earlier segments. Minor grammatical errors and awkward phrasing have been corrected. ETG, capitalization, punctuation, and sentence fragments. And the text is divided into logical paragraphs for readability, preserving the tone, details, and intent of the original. The narrative flows continuously from the previous segment without losing any content or meaning. Smend. Dad smiled like we were settling in for a Sunday game. "So," he said, leaning back in his folding chair, "you finally here to drop the drama?" "No," I replied, my voice cold and even. "I'm here to see if you still have the nerve to face me." He laughed, taking a sip of his beer. "Oh, come on, don't start. Emily's pregnant. You want her having a kid in the middle of a scandal?" I stayed silent, letting him dig deeper. "You and me, we're men," he continued. "We handle things quietly. No screenshots, no banks, no lawyers. Clean this up, pull back the fraud claim, and maybe this family gets back to normal. You good with that?" I reached into my bag, pulled out my tablet, and set it on the dusty tool bench. "No, but you should hear something." I tapped play. "He won't even notice. He's soft, predictable. Give him a guilt trip, and he'll hand over the whole thing." It was Dad's voice from a call with Mom, cleaned up to cut the silence, leaving just the venom. His eyes froze. "That's out of context," he stammered. "Sure," I said, swiping to a scan of a loan application in my name. his handwriting, his forged signature, complete with browser logs, IP address, session history, and timestamp. Then I opened an Instagram story from Emily, showing her with a new iPad, captioned, "Bought it with my silent investor's guilt bonus." He stopped drinking. "You don't get it," he muttered. "Emily's always needed help. You're strong, you've got the salary, the tech. So that makes it okay to rob me?" I said, my tone flat. He didn't answer. I tossed a manila envelope onto the bench, a copy of the fraud report, the original already with the investigator. "One more thing," I said as the door creaked open. Jake, Emily's ex, walked in. The one she'd called abusive, dangerous, emotionally destructive. I used to believe her. "Hey, Jack," Jake said calmly, holding a folder. "Thought you might want to hear some things." He laid out the truth. Emily's fake pregnancy scare, her threats to extort money from him, her step-by-step plans to ruin his reputation if he left her. "She told me your son was weak," Jake said, glancing at Dad. "Turns out he's the only one in this family with a spine." Jake opened his folder, emails, screenshots, audio. One clip played on speaker. "He doesn't know. I used his name for the paperwork. He'll never figure it out. He trusts me." Emily's voice unmistakable. Dad backed into the wall, pale and silent. "I didn't know," he mumbled. "No," I said, leaning closer, locking eyes. "You chose not to know. You lost me. Not this week, not this month, but for good." I turned and walked out. As I stepped into the evening air, Jake's voice followed, calm but cutting. "By the way, Jack, if any of you come after me again, I go public." By morning, the property felt different again. A bright orange notice was stapled to the front door, "Sale of shared interest pending legal resolution." It wasn't handwritten or subtle. It was cold, official, final. By noon, Emily had called 23 times. Mom sent 3 voice notes, each one sobbing. Dad sent a single text. "You're making a mistake you can't walk back from." I didn't reply. Instead, I uploaded a folder titled Family Transparency Initiative. No drama, no hashtags, just facts. Inside were PDFs, screenshots, recordings, the forged loan documents in my name, audio of Emily bragging about manipulating me, photos of the 9/800 baby shower funded by my bonus. It was all there, laid bare for anyone who cared to look. The fallout erupted within hours. I'd sold my 50% share of the house to a legal firm, a card I'd held in reserve that they didn't know I still possessed. They thought I was bluffing, forgetting I was raised by their own tactics. A neighbor posted a photo of the bright orange notice on the Harris house door to Facebook, captioned, "Harris house in trouble." Another commented, "About time someone stood up to those people." That afternoon, a local news blog emailed me. Having seen the documents I'd uploaded, they wanted a statement. I gave them one line. "Sometimes you have to burn the legacy to escape the inheritance." It became their headline. That night, Mom posted a 7-paragraph Facebook rant, calling me ungrateful, a betrayer of family, claiming certain people that don't understand the struggles of parenthood. She attached a 2009 photo of me, braces, acne, and all, with the caption, "I raised this boy, and this is how he thanks me." It got 14 likes, all from distant relatives I hadn't spoken to in years. Aunt Teresa commented, "Sending prayers, stay strong." I didn't respond. Instead, I logged into LinkedIn and severed every family connection from my profile, scrubbing their names from my orbit. 3 days later, Emily posted a video, her face pale, eyes glistening with perfect tears, set to dramatic piano music. "Sometimes people break you, and they call it justice. My brother used to be my best friend. I don't know who he is anymore." The internet tore into her. One comment read, "Isn't this the girl who faked DMs and forged loan papers?" Another, "She's the reason women get accused of lying." Someone synced her leaked audio. "He doesn't know. I used his name for the paperwork. He'll never figure it out." With photos of her baby bump from the $9,800 shower funded by my bonus. The internet did what it does best, turn pain into pixels, victims into villains. This time, they were right. A week later, Jake messaged me. She texted me, said she's pregnant, again, probably fake. I blocked her. He added, "You did the right thing, man. Wish I had your spine." I didn't feel victorious, just clear. There's a difference. Dad stayed silent the longest until a letter arrived at my apartment. No return address, just typed text. You think you've won, you haven't. Men like you always come back when the silence gets too loud. You'll crawl back, they always crawl back. He signed it. The man who made you. I laughed at that. He didn't make me. He tried to break me. What shaped me was the silence, the years of biting my tongue while they drained every cent and called it love. He taught me what not to become. The law firm that now owned half the house sent a formal demand letter, buy out the interest or vacate within 90 days. Shared ownership with a silent partner gets inconvenient fast. I forwarded it to Emily with a note. You threw a $10,000 party. Let's see how you handle property tax season. She replied with a single emoji. I didn't block her. I didn't care enough. That weekend, I posted one final update, a single photo, no caption, of the new sign outside my apartment building installed by the door to my new studio office downstairs. Burn Ledger, Personal Strategy and Digital Forensics. That was the name I chose. If they ever tried again, I'd be ready. If someone else ever felt the way I did, I'd show them how to fight back. The check from the house sale cleared on a Thursday, and with it, I closed the book on their betrayal, not with anger, but with the quiet clarity of someone who'd finally escaped. The direct deposit hit my account. $11,742.28 from the liquidation of the Harris family home. It wasn't a gift, it was compensation, hard-earned and mine. It took months of depositions, court filings, and a forensic audit. But justice doesn't need to shout, it just needs to be final. The judge delivered the verdict in under 5 minutes. The defendant knowingly forged financial documents using the plaintiff's identity, with intent to secure personal gain through fraudulent means. Full repayment is ordered, plus penalties and costs. Dad didn't even show up to the final hearing, sending a note through his lawyer. This is a witch hunt. I won't play along. Emily sat in the corner of the courtroom, head bowed, lips tight, no crocodile tears this time, just silence. Mom watched the ruling like she expected someone to intervene. No one did. By the next morning, a for sale sign stood in the front yard of the house. A week later, new owners had taken over. They tore out the flower bed, ripped down the mailbox, and painted the shutters black. The house no longer looked like a family home. It looked like a reckoning. My lawyer called that afternoon. They've transferred the money. You'll get confirmation soon. Legally, they're barred from contacting you. If they try, call me first. I thanked her. She said, I've handled cases like this, but never one where the son played it this clean. I didn't respond. There was nothing left to clean. That evening, I sat on the hardwood floor of my new office, quiet and uncluttered. The company sign had arrived, and I peeled back the cardboard carefully. Burn Ledger, Strategic Recovery, and Risk Defense. Never again means never again. I wasn't seeking punishment. I was choosing peace. I hung the sign on the door myself, drilling the anchors and screwing it in. No help needed, because that's how it had always been. A week later, a sloppy handwritten letter arrived at my old P.O. box, the envelope torn. You've made your point. We've lost the house. Emily's suffering. Your mother's not well. If any part of you still believes in family, pick up the phone. I taped the envelope shut and fed it into the shredder. That same day, I walked into a credit union and closed the last joint account tied to them. The banker asked, Are you sure? This is permanent. I nodded. That's the point. She handed me a folder labeled Final Account Closure. I signed without hesitation and passed her a pre-written note. Notify all associated cardholders that the account no longer exists. Future charges will be declined. The next morning, Emily tried to charge $112.99 at a boutique baby store. It bounced. She tried again, harder bounce. She texted me, I'll pay you. I'll give it all back if you stop this. I replied with one number, $1. The debt is yours. She never responded. The money wasn't the victory. The silence was. No more late-night calls, no more guilt-laced demands, no more being their emergency exit. They tried to use my blood as leverage, but I severed the part of me that needed them. That Friday, I changed my phone number, sharing the new one with only 3 people. The old number stayed active, still tied to the joint Netflix account Mom forgot to cancel. Let it linger. Let her wonder who I am when the screen says, "This profile is no longer available." My final act was donating $2,000 from the settlement to a legal defense fund for adult victims of family-based financial abuse. I didn't post about it or tell anyone, just clicked submit and moved on. Then I stepped onto my balcony with a cup of black coffee, standing in silence. For the first time in years, no part of me was calculating anything. This wasn't about budgets, strategies, or apologies. It was about breathing free. Some stories end with tearful reunions, but mine ended with unyielding clarity. I wasn't guilty for being exploited, but I would have been if I'd stayed. They called my actions betrayal. I called them release. They saw a family in conflict. I found closure. They swore I'd crawl back, broken by the silence, but I didn't. I cashed the 11,742 $28 check, changed the locks on my life, and walked forward without a single glance over my shoulder.